Fly over the Texas hill country and you might stumble across an unexpected sight. This hemp farm, where a cannabis company called Hometown Hero grows roughly 10,000 pounds of hemp a year.
I typically grow around 3,000 plants a year.
The farm's operations manager, Holden Highlander, says in September these plants will be harvested and turned into THC-infused gummies and oils.
It'll be like a big hedge.
Got it.
About 9 or 10 feet tall.
But by then, all this could be illegal. Texas lawmakers have voted to ban the production and sale of consumable THC products. And the company that Coast Guard veteran Lucas Gilkey started, along with another 8,000 THC stores across the state, are at risk of being shut down.
This was a huge economic windfall for Texas. This industry generates $264 million of tax revenue a year. It's an industry that is thriving and creating jobs within Texas. Why would we take it away?
In 2019, Texas lawmakers essentially legalized the sale of hemp products. These edibles and oils contain less of the psychoactive ingredient THC found in marijuana that gets you high. The industry is booming. One report shows that cannabis-related companies in Texas generated more than $5.5 billion in revenue last year, $2.1 billion in wages, and employ more than 53,000 people. Texas lawmakers now say the law opened the door to the sale of dangerous synthetic products.
Nothing is more important than stopping a kid getting a hold of this junk.
Republican Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has launched a tirade of criticism on the state's cannabis producers.
Anybody want this bag? Catch, you want it? I don't think you want it.
Patrick claims many of the cannabis products on the market exceed legal THC levels or are made with dangerous synthetic ingredients. He flashed a bag of edibles produced by Gilkey's cannabis company.
What are you, crazy? You want to go home and eat a bag of this tonight? See if you're here tomorrow?
You've been sparring with the Lieutenant Governor on social media.
I want to make him think about what he's doing and the people that he's harming.
The Lieutenant Governor is holding a press conference and just spitting out lies like he always does. He said the ingredients, we don't know what's in it. All of the ingredients, every single ingredient are right there.
The Lieutenant Governor is saying that you guys are selling poison, that you're hurting kids.
Our products are sent to DEA partner labs. They go through and test our products for every single thing in them. We do everything that we are required to legally. If we had done anything wrong, I would be in jail.
Supporters of cannabis producers wheeled in boxes of letters and petitions signed by more than 100,000 people, urging Governor Greg Abbott to save the industry by vetoing the ban.
That no one dies from cannabis use.
But there are also parents who say THC products have ravaged their families.
What began as harmless habit quickly spiraled into a mental health crisis.
Back on the hemp farm, Lucas Gilkey says if he's forced to shut down, he'll probably move his company to a different state.
I don't understand how Texas politicians can decide they're going to create something and then on a whim 6 years later decide, we don't like how this went, we're going to completely wipe it out.
They know this might be the last harvest. Ed Lavendera, CNN, Austin, Texas.
The House stands adjourned, sine die, pending the receipt of messages, signing of bills and resolutions, and completion of administrative tasks.
And there it is. The 89th legislative session comes to an end with the House and Senate gaveling out for good. Now, all eyes are on the governor and which bills he'll sign and which ones he won't. CBS Austin's Michael Atkinson is live at the Capitol for us tonight. Great coverage of the session for us, Michael. Not a lot of fireworks this year.
Well, no, there was really only one policy that was left on the table that they were negotiating at the 11th hour. That would have raised pay for judicial officers. Otherwise, no major shakeups today as both chambers more or less quietly gabbled out sine die, ending the 89th legislative session. Now all of those major bills are in the hands of the governor.
The following privilege.
The 89th legislative session is coming to an end. On Monday, both chambers adjourned sine die, a constitutional provision which essentially means the chambers are adjourning for good, pending the call of a special session.
We started this session as a House in a bit of uncertainty, and I believe that we ended in a much more unified and solid place.
Traditionally, it's a day of celebrating the legislators and Capitol staffers. But today, lawmakers worked on an 11th hour bill to raise pay salaries for judges. Still, the close was a quiet one, a stark contrast to last session when lawmakers adjourned for good only to be called for a special session hours later. Odds are that won't happen this time. Instead, all eyes are on a bill that's in the governor's hands today, Senate Bill 3.
SB 3 violates the very principles Texas prides itself on.
That's the bill that would ban THC in Texas. On the last day of the legislative session, advocates sent contrasting messages to the governor. Several advocates called for a veto.
Taking this away from us is a threat. This is literally our lives that are at stake. Hemp-derived consumables have helped thousands of veterans in this state, millions across the country.
Others called for its enactment.
This drug operation is an all-out assault on Texas families and schools.
Governor Greg Abbott, away from the Capitol on Monday, held a bill signing ceremony for a separate bill in San Antonio. The controversial THC ban didn't come up.
And as we reported, a special session at this point seems a little bit unlikely, but it's not outside the realm of possibilities. When it comes to bail reform, most of those bills made it all the way to the finish line, but a couple of them failed in the Texas House, so it's not entirely impossible that Governor Abbott may want lawmakers to come back, but at this point, that does not seem to be in the cards. Live inside the Texas State Capitol, Michael Atkinson, CBS Austin News.
I'm News 4 San Antonio's Darian Trotter with this week's Unanswered Questions. One of the big stories we're following is the pending ban on THC.
95 ayes, 44 nays. Senate Bill 3 is passed to third reading.
House and Senate lawmakers approved Senate Bill 3 last week, sending a strong message. THC has got to go. The approval generating strong reactions from both supporters and opponents.
What began in 2019 as a bipartisan effort to support Texas agriculture has since been hijacked by a cottage industry of unregulated THC sellers.
Unfortunately, we've seen prohibition before, and it looks, unless Governor Abbott vetoes SB 3, we're headed back to prohibition again.
The new measure would penalize people who knowingly possess hemp products with any amount of THC with a misdemeanor that could carry up to a year in jail, while those who manufacture or sell the products would wind up facing 10 years in prison. Now, we talked to a local attorney who says his phone has been ringing off the hook since last week's vote. Questions about what happens next to retailers, manufacturers, and consumers.
They need to hang on. Let's see what happens in the next week and a half. At the end of the legislative session, see if the governor does take action and veto this. But if he doesn't, they need to prepare to close down.
Other concerns raised include what the measure would do to the $10 billion a year industry affecting 53,000 Texans who brought in $268 million in tax revenue. There are also questions about how it could affect veterans who may lean on the products for pain relief or for PTSD. But there is a response to that argument.
These substances are not medicine. They are psychosis-inducing, overdose-prone chemicals masquerading as relief. We are not banning hemp. We are banning high.
We are working to get answers on this still developing story, which includes, will sales at shops be impacted by the regulations, and will the negative impact result in closing shops? And how would the regulations impact the market for illicit sales? We will continue to work to get answers on this developing story, and others will be here every week to let you know what we find out. Tackling your unanswered questions, I'm News 4 San Antonio's Darian Trotter.
So if you ban THC, it's not going to go away. The need is not going to go away.
You could either gain from it, collect the tax money, or lose out on an opportunity to.
You're just shooting yourself in the foot if you're a Texas lawmaker.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is attempting to ban all forms of THC products within the state, even products that are currently legal, which include any hemp item that contains 0.3% of THC. A move that may impact local businesses selling such items.
We'd have to figure out a way to, I guess, just improvise, maybe not rebrand per se, but adapt.
One business in West El Paso, whose owner wanted to remain anonymous, shared that if a ban were to happen, it would deeply impact his business.
Probably 30% will go away immediately. Thousands of people here in El Paso buy my products, THC products, CBD products. And if I can't maintain profitability because 30% of my income is has gone, then everyone else that buys these CBD products are going to suffer.
THC has been legal in Texas since 2019, but Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick claims that retailers have been abusing the ability to sell and market THC products by increasing the limit of unsafe THC levels. In a statement, Patrick says in part, quote, dangerously, retailers exploited the agricultural law to sell life-threatening, unregulated forms of THC to the public and made them easily accessible. Stores not only sold to adults, but they targeted Texas children and exposed them to dangerous levels of THC. However, some people believe that this potential ban would impact the Texas economy even more than the lieutenant governor's concern.
Just in my opinion, whether the governor wants to capitalize off making money off it or not, by removing it, he's going to remove what a lot of people use on the daily.
I really think that if they want to keep the young voters to the Republican side, they should just keep on building on it.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Patrick claims that this bill will pass within the Senate, both bipartisanly. However, he also hopes that the House will pass it and support the bill to become the new law. I'm live in West El Paso. Julia Spencer, KFOX 14 News at 9.
And so during our 5 o'clock newscast, we asked you to chime in on our poll and tell us if you agree with banning all THC products. Take a look. This is what the poll looks like right now. So 32% say yes, while 68% do not agree. You can still participate in the live poll. Just scan the QR code that you're seeing on your screen right now. You can also find this poll on our website, kfoxtv.com. In the state of Texas, the legal status of THC products like Delta 8, 9, and 10 is complex and it continues to evolve. Texas law categorizes all forms of THC, including Delta 8, as Schedule 1 controlled substances if they contain more than 0.3% Delta 9 THC or are derived from cannabis outside federal hemp definitions. This classification puts Delta 8 in the same category as substances like LSD and heroin under state law. In the state of Texas, traditional leaf marijuana is a misdemeanor offense, while possession of a THC vape is a felony. Now, if Senate Bill 3 passes banning all THC products here in Texas, there is a possibility that traffic to nearby New Mexico dispensaries could actually increase. New Mexico has already seen a significant portion of its cannabis sales attributed to Texans traveling across the state border to purchase legally available products. For example, towns like Sunland Park, New Mexico, located just minutes from El Paso, have seen cannabis sales boom, with much of the revenue coming from Texas residents seeking products they cannot legally obtain in their home state. We spoke with a dispensary manager in Las Cruces about this possible shift.
So the wave is definitely something that's been fun, something that's been calculated as well. We expected to see a new amount of people starting to trickle in, which is really cool.
However, transporting cannabis across state lines is illegal under federal law without a medical card.
So folks, a proposed ban on all THC products in Texas could actually soon make certain products, guess what, illegal. Now, even those that are currently sold legally under the state law, okay? So the move is actually being pushed by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who does claim that some retailers actually abuse the law to sell some unsafe and even unregulated products, okay? But some others, they're arguing that the ban could actually hurt the economy and even impact people who use these products every day, okay? So Julia Spencer is live now with how this potential legislation could actually affect El Paso. Hey Julia, okay, so what specific THC products are currently legal in Texas? And kind of explain to us how it would actually be proposed, this ban, and how it would impact their availability.
Well, Nasaya, as of right now in Texas, there's some products that are legal here in the state. Now, Texas currently makes it legal where 0.3% of THC products are legal, and people could go out and buy them. Now, some of these products are recognized as Delta 8 or Delta 9. You might see them on some of those packaging, but that's what people could go out and buy today. But if that ban were to take place, then it won't be available anymore.
So again, I know a big question on everybody's mind, right? What are going to be the economic implications, though, of a potential THC ban for businesses right here in the borderland?
Well, economically, I spoke to some businesses out here who sell some of those products, and they say if all THC products were to be banned, it would not only hit their income, but also their business's profit as well. And there's actually some sound from one of the owners from one of those businesses I spoke to today. He wanted to remain anonymous, but what he said was just as important.
Probably 30% will go away immediately. Thousands of people here in El Paso buy my products, THC products, CBD products, and if I can't maintain profitability because 30% of my income has gone, then everyone else that buys these CBD products are going to suffer.
Okay, Julia, last question for you tonight. What are the potential social and even political consequences of this ban?
Well, some people I spoke to locally around El Paso, they said they're concerned because they say if the lieutenant governor and as well as the state senate and state house, if they move forward with this, then it's honestly, quote unquote, a dumb look on their part because they are making bad implications towards not only local economies, but the state economy as well. This will impact those businesses, this will impact the consumer, not as well as people's health conditions, which they use these products for, and just business owners overall. You can take a listen to what some of those people had to say.
In my opinion, whether the governor wants to capitalize off making money off it or not, by removing it, he's going to remove what a lot of people use on the daily.
I really think that if they want to keep the young voters to the Republican side, they should just keep on building on it.
Well, the lieutenant governor, he is hoping that this law does pass through the state senate and the state house, and he has a couple months for this ban to potentially become the law here in Texas. But if that does happen, we'll be sure to keep you updated.